William Shakespeare once said, "In limited professions, there's boundless theft." Although it didn't have the same poetic tone as a similar quote from GTA's Carl Johnson, I think we can all see that Billy was trying to warn us about the rampant art theft in the video game industry. Now, you would have thought that blatant copyright infringement would have died off in the 80s, back when Konami couldn't go 5 minutes without lifting artwork from the latest Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. However, this shady tradition still goes on even in the present day of modern gaming. So, this episode, we'll take a look at these embezzled illustrations, these plagiarised pictures, and these shanghaied sketches. As I say. But, hello you. I'm Guru Larry, and I welcome you to Fact Hunt. 5 gaming companies that stole artwork. Each entry on today's video is going to be more egregious than the last. However, that doesn't stop this first example from being as dodgy as someone who built an entire career in video games based on complete lies. In the mid-2000s, Ubisoft released the Imagine line of games on the Nintendo DS. These were grade-age shovelware aimed at young girls. Well, at least I really hope that's who Ubisoft were aiming these at. Anyway, when the time came around from the Ubisoft hype machine to start building up for the release of the game Imagine Babies, the PR department sent out this image to news outlets to start building awareness of the title. Now, look carefully and you might be able to spot iStock watermarks still on the images. That's right, someone at Ubisoft just ripped a few preview images from online image sellers and slapped them onto pre-release box art. Thankfully these didn't make it to the final product, although, let's be honest here, it's hardly much of an improvement. Ubisoft may have released a line of shovelware titles, but Phoenix Games made releasing instant bargain bin fodder an art form. You had your Cinderella, with box art that would have looked dated on a PS1 game. You had Crazy Golf, where the dog has somehow managed to put the club right through his fingers. And who could forget the seminal Disney-dodging Snow White and the 7 Clever Boys? But it's the game that's been playing on screen that fills this entry, Peter Pan. It's a collection of frankly awful minigames, Frankenstein together to link a cheap cartoon adaptation of the famous story to have some sort of gameplay value. The arts that Phoenix Games stole can be found on the box itself. A disfigured Peter Pan flies away from Captain Hook, who is floating alongside what seems to be a boat that appears in mid-air. However, look behind them and there is a lush green island in the sea. The same lush green island created by Squaresoft as concept art for Kingdom Hearts. Phoenix Games stealing art for their box is pretty brazen, but then again so is charging money for this monstrosity of a game. Now, small studios don't have armies of artists to create assets for their games, so although theft is still wrong, you can see why it would happen. However, a huge developer such as Capcom shouldn't need to rip off materials to build games like Devil May Cry or Resident Evil. Well, that's what you would think anyway. Enter visual artist Judy A. Juracek. She's created research material that is used in architecture and design. Just taking a quick look at one of her books shows you that she has documented the many styles and types of design found in buildings and structures. The idea of these books is to have a quick point of reference for when a designer sets out to create their own ideas. What these books are not about are free libraries of textures to scan and then place directly on your own creations. Capcom, however, decided not to let a little thing like copyright law get in the way of games development and just raided Judy's collection. And I really mean raided. They didn't just steal one image, they went berserk and stole floor surfaces, wooden surfaces, brick surfaces, stone surfaces, many decorations, and even went as far as ripping off one of Judy's photos to use in the Resident Evil 4 logo. All of this, however, didn't go unnoticed by Judy. Oh no siree. And she launched a copyright lawsuit against Capcom for the wholesale theft of her work. Looking at the evidence, I don't think even Phoenix Wright could get Capcom out of this one. But just like the book they stole from, it's an open and shut case. I'll give it a go. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End is a tale about Sony's famous treasure hunter who goes around pinching historical valuables for the sake of adventure. So, to find out that developer Naughty Dog stole assets not once, but twice, actually seems quite fitting. The first instance of Naughty Dog being caught red-handed was when they first released the trailer for the game on the PlayStation YouTube channel. Although the video has since been deleted, eagle-eyed viewers spotted at the 1 minute and 36 second mark, Nathan Drake looks at a painting which looks awfully familiar to fans of Assassin's Creed 4. Turns out that this painting had been pilfered from fellow developer Ubisoft, and all Naughty Dog did was airbrush out the pirate from the original image. News outlets picked up on this story, and Sony quickly removed the video from YouTube, soon replacing it with a video that didn't have the stolen image in. The other piece of borrowed content was spotted by the YouTube channel Broken Opus. He uploaded a video to his channel that showed the prison fight scene. However, if you pause the game when one of the pieces of litter flies near the player and then take a look at it using the photo mode, you can see that it's actually an image of spoof news source The Onion. Here's the capture from The Onion's website where they published this spoof newspaper. What's happened here is that some cheeky staff member has just snuck this in, probably just for fun. But once the studio caught wind of that Broken Opus had found this out and had published his findings online, Naughty Dog patched it out. If you try to look for the same paper now, you'll see that it's been replaced with one that says, "Effects artist jailed for using copyrighted material." I don't suppose anyone at the studio expected players to inspect tiny art textures that rapidly fly past the player, but at least Naughty Dog are living up to their name. Sega have always had a bit of a blind spot when it comes to copyright law. Sometimes they dance awfully close to the line, like in Yakuza, and sometimes they go barrelling past it, like in Revenge of Shinobi, where they outright ripped off a promotional image from the Japanese TV show Kage no Gundam to use in their title screen. They haven't been shy to steal from movies either. Someone at Sega must have got some inspiration from the 1983 movie Blue Thunder, as a few years later, in 1987, Sega released arcade helicopter shoot-'em-up Thunderblade. Sega must have loved the Roy Schneider film so much that they decided to take a screenshot from the movie and make that into the game's title screen. Now, I know what you're thinking, because I was thinking it too. So here is what a remastered version of the title screen would look like. The House of Sonic refused to learn its lesson and totally ignored all copyright laws again when it came to creating the arcade version of Super Monaco Grand Prix. Remember this girl from the opening splash screen? Well, that's actually an Iron licensed Mercy Rooney from the December 1972 issue of Playboy magazine. If you're really rubbish at Super Monaco and fail to qualify the opening time trial, then the game would show you this screen. This is actually an unlicensed Claire Rambeau from the January 1972 issue of Playboy. For a game created in 1989, it's frankly amazing that these are nicked from a 17-year-old Playboy magazine that some Sega artist had held onto. I'm also surprised that the pages weren't all stuck together after nearly 2 decades of existence. Now, you would have thought Sega would have left all this copyright infringement in the past. But Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing has proven otherwise. If you got the first version of the American release on Steam, you may have spotted this image on the Roulette Road course. It was found on the track as you drove near the roulette wheel. But what we have here is actually an image adapted from Sonic fan artwork on DeviantArt. Bizarrely, this pilfered pic only ever appeared on a US Steam release. But this didn't stop the original fan artist from finding out and bringing up the issue with Sega. The problem managed to get resolved without any court action, and at the end of it all, the artist put out a statement to clarify what had happened. It turns out that Sega had Google image search for Sonic pictures, and just used one they actually thought was an official piece of artwork. Given the sheer number of questionable pieces of Sonic fan art out in the wild, and you've got to feel sorry for the poor developer that had to wade through it all to find something that was actually usable. Hello you! Thanks ever so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to be first to see future Fact Hunt episodes. Click on the bell if you already are to make sure you're notified, and be sure to check out my other episodes. And if you want to be super awesome, check out my Patreon. But thanks again for watching, and until next time friends, I'm missing you already.